everyone! Welcome to the Jayda InStitches show. As many of you know, I've recently been going through my seemingly unending pile of granny squares. I love to make granny squares. I don't always have a reason to make them, and they tend to pile up after a while. Well, last year we showed you how to turn two of them into a really cute and useful gift bag, the sort of thing that the make-ahead stash can make really good use of. Well, part of my collection of motifs includes an entire bin of these. Granny hexagons. I have a lot of them, and since I don't know exactly what to do with them all yet, the next logical conclusion was to turn at least two of them into a gift bag. And that's what we're going to do today. I've got this one here. I use nice bright colors, really cheerful. This kind of says party gift bag, party treat bag, maybe that little sort of little tokens you want to sort of tuck on top of a gift. Definite kid vibe going. And I also made another one using some of those groovy 70s colors, you know, that whole fire pottery kind of look. I even included some wooden beads on the end of it. Really simple, lots of fun, and you only need two granny hexagons to do it. Now, we've linked our granny hexagon tutorial in the description box and the pinned comment down below. So if you've never made a granny hexagon, it's easy. It's just got two more sides than a regular granny square. And it takes up just a bit more yarn than a regular granny square does. This is definitely an awesome scrap project. But that's all you need is two. And if you're like me and you've got a ridiculous pile of them, then just dive into the stash. Grab a couple, grab your hook, grab some yarn, and we'll head on over to the craft table and stitch up a couple of these granny hexagon bags together. In order to make our hexagon gift bag, you're going to want two granny hexagons or crocheted hexagon motifs that are the same but can be any size. You want a little bit of cording or ribbon or even a chained drawstring to make the cinch drawstring to keep your bag shut. You want about 10 yards of yarn that's the same weight and the same fiber content as the two hexagons you've already got. You want a pair of scissors, a yarn needle, and the same hook that you used to make the hexagons. In this case, I'm using a 4.5 millimeter. It's also known as a 7. And once you've got all that together, we can get started. First, you're going to take your hexagons and decide which side of your hexagon you like the best. So this would be the back or the wrong side of my hexagons, and this would be the front. Then I'm going to flip one over and put the other one on top so that the nice side of both hexagons is facing out. Then I'm going to take my yarn, I'm going to make a slip knot, and I'm going to join my yarn with a single crochet in the top corner. So I'm going to put both my corners together. Now I'm working right-handed, so I'm going to work to the left. If you're working left-handed, you're going to work to the right. So you would start over here, but it doesn't really matter. You're just going to be leaving one side of the 6 sides open, and that's going to be up here at the top. So slip your hook right through both corner spaces and pick up a loop and single crochet. So we're joining with a single crochet. Now we're going to single crochet through each set of stitches and spaces all the way down the first side. So you just take a moment to find the first stitch of each double crochet in that first shell from both sides and single crochet through them both. This is going to seam our two hexagons together. And if you have to sort of pick up one stitch and then the other as you go, I like to focus on 3 at a time. Then that brings me to the next space, and that way I know I'm not going to miss any stitches as I go. So single crocheting through each set of stitches and spaces all the way down the first side, and I'll hook up with you at the next corner space. Once you've single crocheted through each set of stitches and spaces, and you've arrived at the next corner, you're going to work 3 single crochets through that corner space. So working through both corner spaces, 3 single crochets into the space. That fills in the space, turns the corner nicely, and that's all you need to do in a corner. You can now single crochet through each set of stitches and spaces across each side. When you get to a corner space, work 3 single crochet through the set of corner spaces and continue that until you get all the way back around and up to the other top corner. So this right here. And I'll catch up with you when we get there. Once you've worked a single crochet through each set of stitches and spaces all the way around, making sure you put 3 in all of the corner spaces, that brings us up to the top. We're going to work 1 single crochet into the last set of corner spaces, and now we're going to single crochet through each stitch and space all the way around the edge, but separately. So we're going to edge now how the rest of the top of the bag looks. So we're going to work 1 more single crochet into the chain 2 space, but only through that one side. And now we're going to single crochet in the top of each stitch and through each space, but only through the one side. So we're not seaming together the top because we want to be able to get into the bag. So just like that. Single crochet across this first side, and I'll catch up with you when we turn the other corner. Once you get all the way across, you're going to single crochet into the corner space where you started. You're going to single crochet into that first single crochet you made that you joined your yarn with. And then you're going to turn around so that you're working across the other side, single crochet into that corner space, just once, and then single crochet in each stitch and space across the back side. So this is the other side of the opening of the bag. A little single crochet in every single stitch and space, and of course traveling across the join seam like that makes it nice and neat and tidy at the top. A few more stitches to go, and we'll move on. When you've got all the way back around, single crochet once into the last corner space, and there's that little stitch that turned us into sort of, it was the stitch that we worked into the space to sort of the last seam stitch. You're just, instead of single crocheting into it, you're just going to slip stitch into it. Doesn't have to be precise and exact. All you want to make sure is that you've got a nice opening here, and the stitch color and the stitchery matches the seam around the rest of the bag. Okay, now we've got to make a little drawstring so that we can cinch up the tops of our bags, and a little extra decoration besides at the top. So here we go. From where we are, we're going to chain 3, and we're going to skip across all of the stitches that sit across that first shell. Find the stitch that we worked into the space and single crochet into it. Chain 3. Skip the stitches that sit across the top of the shell. Find the stitch in the space and single crochet into it. And we're making these nice sort of spaces. Chain 3. Skip the shell stitches, find the single crochet that was in the space, single crochet into it. Chain 3. Find the stitch that's in the space, single crochet into it. And now we're going to chain 3, hop the seam, and we're making a short space. So we're going to single crochet into that stitch in the space right there. So we're still making a 3 space. It's just hopping over top of the seam. And it's the same across the back. Chain 3. Skip the stitches across the shell, single crochet into the stitch that sits in the space. Chain 3 and repeat. The last one sits in that last single crochet that sits in that corner space. Chain 3, and then you can join with a slip stitch to that stitch that pretty much started that part of the row. So it's basically right above the seam. And you'll have little chain 3 spaces all the way around. This is our drawstring row, so we'll be able to weave a drawstring or nice ribbon or some cording through that. And now we just want to finish it off ever so nicely. So I thought we would do a cute little sort of petally look across the top. We're not chaining right from where we are. Working into that chain 3 space, we're going to work a single crochet, 2 double crochets, and a single crochet. Into the next space, a single crochet, 2 double crochets, and a single crochet. And that will give us just this sweetest little bit of a, almost a bit of a scallop. It's a bit like a petal. And you're going to repeat that, single crochet, 2 double crochet, and single crochet into every one of those chain 3 spaces you made all the way around. And again, it doesn't matter how many rows you made your hexagons initially. If you've got a row of shell stitch across the top, then this is going to work across any sized granny hexagon. So it doesn't matter how many you end up with, just that you have a little chain 3 space that runs across the top of each one of those shells, and then of course one that hops over the seam. Single crochet, 2 double crochet, single crochet in each of those spaces all the way around. Once you've worked that last little single crochet, 2 double crochet, single crochet into the last chain 3 space, which remember kind of straddles that other seam, you're just going to slip stitch to join in the first single crochet you made around that row. And that's it. That's the top of our little bag. You can take your scissors, snip your yarn, fasten off, grab your yarn needle, make that nice and tight, and we're going to weave that tail in underneath some of the stitches across the inside edge of the bag. So I like to go under several stitches going in one direction, pull that down, make sure that it's not showing from the outside, and then I skip back over one stitch and weave it back the way I came. And that typically keeps my tails from wanting to come out. If you're using slippery yarn, or you have even longer tails, you can do this a couple times, back and forth, and it helps weave the tail in. When you have a little tiny bit left, you can just trim it off. And that is the tail. Then I like to go around and grab all of the petals, pull them up in the middle, kind of push them out towards the right side of the bag. This just makes it look like, almost like it's wearing a little bit of a crown. There we go. You can also take the opportunity to flatten the bag down, flip it back side, front side, pull out those sides. You can give this a light blocking if you feel that it needs it, but remember, this is just a little gift bag and it'll probably poof out with goodies once you fill it. Then you can grab your cording, your ribbon, whatever it is that you might have, and decide where you want your yarn or your ribbon to come in and go out at. So I typically like it to come from the front. You just weave it through those nice big drawstring spaces that we created. And this allows us to use a nice thick ribbon if you have some in the stash, or a nice thick bit of cording. I like using colors that are a bit contrasting to the yarn I've used. You can cinch the whole thing up nice and tight. It almost looks like a little potion bottle from a cartoon or something. And tie a nice big bow. You might want to double knot that if you've got something extra special inside. One of the neat things about these granny hexagon bags, as opposed to the granny square bag, is that a granny hexagon shape in the same number of rows as its cousin, the granny square, is going to be bigger than the granny square gift bag, just because of those extra 2 sides. But the opening will still be the same. I mean, I can get my entire hand in there, and that's just a 4-row granny. I love this. I think these are a really great way to use up some of those granny hexagons in my stash, since I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to do with all of them yet. And I have like 50 of them. So earmarking a few for gift bags is not such a bad idea. What I think I might do next is go through the pile and pull out the ones that have kind of a holiday feel to them. Maybe they're more reds or they're more greens, and I'll turn them into gift bags for the holiday season coming up. I might just use white to join them. So I've got kind of a white and green or a white and red feel. I might even add some jingle bells to the little ties that I put on it. That's it for this tutorial, everyone. I hope you enjoyed making a couple of these simple little gift bags along with us this week. We will see you soon here on the Jayda and Stitches show. Until then, stay safe, stay crafty, use up what's in your stash, and we'll see you soon. Bye, everyone.
Hi, everybody. Mr. InStitches here. Thank you for watching today. Here are some of our other videos you might be interested in. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe.